This is the Out of Time Film Podcast, where your hosts Tom and John discuss everything from blockbuster films to TV and games like there's no tomorrow.
Hello and welcome back to the Out of Time Film Podcast. My name is Tom and as always I'm joined with my co-host John, and this week we are talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Wow, what excitement we have here on this great day talking about this film.
Full spoilers ahead for anyone who hasn't seen it. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, briefly explain the plot for those who don't know.
After a successful mission, Quill and his team of galactic defenders meet Ego, a man claiming to be Quill's father. However, they soon learn some disturbing truth about Ego.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did you think?
Wow, this came out in 2017, almost 6 years ago, and I'm like, wow, this still holds up today. This is such an amazing film. Like, a long time ago, we were blasting the soundtrack just every day. Every time we talk to each other, we would just talk about the soundtrack or listen to the soundtrack while we talk. It was just a great film to watch back then. But I'm just looking at the cast. It's still just Chris Pratt. He's just had that same picture over and over.
From
and
Mario.
Over again. From Mario,
Oh,
yes.
good. Oh,
It's-
good.
It's like the reverse image of the Giga Chad meme. It's just like that, but then you have the Chris Pratt one there.
Nice.
The man knows bangers. He knows bangers after bangers. He knows how to put them in the film. And Mr. Blue Sky, oh, that was such a great intro. I was like, yep. This is about to be cinema, this entire sequence at the beginning of the film. And there was a lot into this film, but I thought that was handled very well in terms of characters, in their character arcs as well. But yeah, we got a lot more exploration and more emotional arcs this time. I'm not waiting
Oh
for the
my
third
God.
one. What about you?
Walk with me for a second, John.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best MCU movie. I don't care. This is the best. We have rewatched, I think, 10 roughly MCU movies, on top of like all like the new stuff that's come out in the last year. And this one, far and away, slaps them all in the face. This is perfection. I was so like, I always thought, Guardians 2 is great, but it's not as good as the first movie. Nah. Fuck that. This is genuinely a fantastic, fantastic film. I, the whole time, was just captivated by the way that it was made and the way that it was shot and edited and the way that it explored its characters and the emotional moments and the comedy. Everything worked. And I just thought it was pitch perfect. It's generally the only MCU movie that I struggle to criticize. I loved it. I genuinely loved it. I would say this is the best MCU movie.
Yes. Okay, this is kind of strange. You did say, this is a long time ago, like when this film came out, you said this is the best MCU movie when it came out.
Of course I did.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense because it is.
Yeah,
It
you were
is.
like,
It's
this is the
fantastic.
best MCU movie. I was like, I mean, sure. But now, yeah, I mean, that's your take. Yeah, I can see definitely what you talked about with Guardians and the way the movie handles with everything. But yeah, that is a really interesting take on that because I've never seen Guardians of the Galaxy as like the best MCU movie, but I thought it was a really, really good film where it stands in the MCU. But yeah, it's definitely in the top 3. I would say, because you got Guardians of the Galaxy, and then Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and then I put Infinity War, and those are the top best 3 that I could think of, and then the 4th is Black Panther.
Oh yeah. No, I think I'd be inclined to agree with you, maybe in a different order, but
Yeah.
I think I'd probably swap out Infinity War for the first Avengers. But then again, I haven't rewatched Infinity War, the Captain America films, films that I've always thought were great, and rewatching them years after the fact. Like I haven't watched this movie since 2018, before Infinity War came out, so it's been nearly 5 years since I watched this one, and that definitely was so great to come back to it and realize, oh my God, like first of all, this must be the most beautiful MCU movie. Like, holy cow.
Oh, definitely.
This is, every frame is a painting in this movie. It just is shot to perfection. Like, I watched it on the IMAX enhanced version, which I really do like watching for the MCU movies that have it on Disney Plus. And even when the aspect ratio wasn't in the IMAX ratio, everything, whether it be like the close-up shots of the actors, which really, the acting is just, superb. And even if it's that, you can see the way that it's framed and the way that it showcases emotion. We'll talk about the ending a bit more, I'm sure, but the final shot of this movie is a raccoon, a CGI raccoon, crying. And it's one of the
Oh
most
no, I'm not
painful
ready for the
shots
third one. I'm
in
not ready.
anything. Like it is genuinely so incredible how this movie is put together, like in its visuals. Like the CGI, there's a lot of CGI, but it really is just flawless in every single way. It never took me
Yeah.
out of it. I was never kind of like, oh, that looks a bit weird. No, it just consistently was fantastic. There's a bit at the end when they all drop out of the ship and they all land on Ego, and the camera kind of rotates around them. And
Oh yeah.
I let out a squeal that was a bit embarrassing. I was probably like,
A
"Ah!"
squeal.
Like, yes,
Oh, yes.
I properly squealed because I was just so excited at how James Gunn was using the camera and how, like as much as I love Avengers, and that's probably my second favorite MCU movie, in terms of cinematography, it does leave a little bit to be desired. As much as I like the cinematography of that movie, this one is what I want every comic book film to look like. And shots like that just made me giddy because cinema, right? Cinema.
Yeah, there was some amazing sequences. The opening we did talk about, but my favorite one,
Ooh, yeah.
the sequence where Yondu and
Yes.
Rocket were getting out of the ship, and it was so
So
awesome.
good.
It was
Yeah,
so
fantastic.
good. Oh my god. Oh my god. And I just loved how James Gunn used the characters in scenes, and he used it really well to fit in with their arcs. And you're trying to figure out like what was their end game for the film. This is a journey with them. And that scene, I just love that scene because it just fits everything into, because one, it's like what Yondu was saying after that scene happened was like, you're like me. And it is,
Yes.
they're exactly like each other. And the music just works as well. And it's just chaos. And there's that final bit of that sequence where Rocket was shooting, and then they were both laughing. Yeah, they were just both laughing.
Yes, they're just having a
And
good
then
time.
it changed into a bird's eye view of the entire ship, just like
Yes.
everyone getting destroyed. And I was just like, yeah,
Yeah, and the
cinema,
camera is
cinema,
spinning
cinema.
around. It
Ah,
really is just fantastic. In that 3-minute, 4-minute sequence alone, there is more creativity in the action and in the cinematography than you get in some action movies for their entire runtime. Like all the
yeah.
different creative ways that they display Yondu like shooting. There's where he like the arrow goes through the thing that's holding one of the ships up and the ship crushes them. The arrow kind of like smashes into the light, and then like the red of the arrow is cutting into the darkness and spitting into people. It's just like they do like slow motion shots, and then the arrow sets on fire at the end, and as you say, Rocket's kind of getting in on it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I want to say that Yondu and Rocket are the MVPs of this movie, but every single character is done so well. Like,
And
yeah,
can
go
I
on.
say something before we get into the characters that quick?
Yeah,
But
please do. Please do.
what I realized, there's like a detail. You might call this, but they changed the bit of the music.
They did. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. They changed it into like an opera type
Brilliant.
score.
I'd forgotten about
Brilliant.
that. And I was just
Yeah,
like, this is great.
this
What
is
is
great.
this?
This is so good. Anyway, yes, characters. Oh my god, Drax. Drax is my favorite.
Yes.
Drax.
I was gonna
Yes.
say Drax is pitch perfect. I did speak when we covered the first movie. I said, Drax kind of becomes a caricature of himself. And
Yeah.
while on some levels that is true, he's always, giving a big laughs and always making jokes, and he's
Yes.
a funny guy.
He's a funny guy.
But that all works so well. Like the dynamics between all the characters, like this kind of family dynamic is so great. But what I love so much about Drax and about James Gunn's writing and also about Dave Bautista as a performer is the quiet moments are just, yeah, they're like, I don't even know the words to describe them. Like when Drax and Mantis
Immaculate.
are
Immaculate. There you go.
immaculate. There we go. When Drax and Mantis are sitting down together, he's telling her a story about taking his daughter to this like lake and how beautiful it was and how much he misses her. And you can tell that there's a quiet sadness in Drax's voice, but he's keeping it inside. And then Mantis touches him and she's overwhelmed with emotion and she starts weeping. And it really is just brilliant. And there are other moments like at the end when Drax says to Mantis, "You're beautiful on the inside." Fantastic. Like,
Fantastic.
what's going on?
It,
Like it doesn't pull its punches with any element of the film. It goes so hard, just consistently for
it
2
goes
hours
on.
and 20 minutes.
Yes. And the quiet moments in the film are just superb in terms of, like, as I said earlier, you exploring the characters, and that beautiful moment between Drax and Mantis was just so good. Because usually in the MCU, it's kind of hard to find the quieter moments in terms of characters, because they might just not get that dynamic between the other characters, or you don't find anything really interesting in that, because the MCU right now is just overcrowded with lots of characters, and you just feel like, oh, this is a lot. But this film especially knows what to do with his characters. Like, James Gunn, can we just have Mantis and Drax and get them all interact? And there was not a single scene that wasted, and you just get to see everyone shining their characters and performance. And the mise-en-scène, yes, the mise-en-scène is just so incredible in this film. Yeah, Drax, I really love Drax. It's just like how Dave Bautista just acts like him. Like, the laughing, he's like, ha, ha, ha. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so over the top. It's just so funny. And yeah.
You can see in the 4 months between Guardians 1 and 2 that Drax has kind of let go of some of his pain and some of his anger, and he kind of has fun with things more often. As you say, with his laughing, there's always just really some good moments. And I think that the comedy in this movie, MCU comedy, is always up and down for me. And, and I'm not saying that every single joke worked for this movie, but it's damn close. There's not many jokes where I didn't laugh. Like, at the beginning, Drax is like, oh yeah, I've got sensitive nipples. And at the end, when he puts on the jetpack and he flies away, and he goes, oh, my nipples! Just hilarious.
My favorite bit with Drax was when everyone was landed down onto Ego's core, and it was like very dramatic.
Yes.
Like, they were looking around, like
Yes.
looking badass. They were just trying to do everything what they can, and then it was a great piece of shooting right there. And then this rock just hits Mantis, and the music stops, and then Drax says, Mantis, look out! It's just after she's been knocked
It's
out,
so
stone
funny.
cold. It's so funny.
It's perfect. Yeah, no, this just like the comedy in this movie is so good. And
Oh
like,
my God.
even when like the Guardians are arguing with each other, especially at the beginning, like it all works really, really well. But also they use those silly moments to the benefit of the emotion later on. Like when the ship explodes and Peter and Yondu fly out, and Peter's like, haha, you like Mary Poppins. And Yondu's like, is he cool? And he's like, heck yeah, he's cool. And it's like, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. And that really kind of like, can we just take a moment to realize, like, at least to me, unless something changes when I rewatch something, but James Gunn has the best movie of phase 2 and phase 3 and phase 4, if you count the holiday special. Like, what?
Phase 4.
The man is a wizard. How does he do
knows
it?
how
I
to
don't
cook.
know.
He knows
how to cook. I don't expect Guardians 3 to be as good as 1 or 2. I just don't. He would have to do something really, really great to do that. I have no doubt Guardians 3 is going to be amazing, but I don't think it's going to be that good. Like, I'm being realistic here, but
you are.
The man has delivered so many times that I just think that he's a genius. After last night watching Guardians 2, I was just like, I can't believe it. I just can't believe, like, I was already thinking to myself, yeah, Guardians 2 might be the best sequel in the MCU, but wow, just like, again, I just feel giddy like thinking about it. Everything when it comes to like Peter as well, there's a really, really great moment.
I know what moment you're talking about, but talk it. Please talk about
where
it, please.
Ego is saying, is there no other purpose to life? You are one in billions of trillions. You are nothing without me and without being a god. What other purpose is there to life than this, than being everywhere, than no longer being alone? And Yondu says to him, I don't use my head when I use the arrow, I use my heart. And Peter thinks inside of him, and he thinks all these moments, just him and his mum listening to music, Rocket and him just like flying, him and Drax laughing, him and Gamora when they're about to kiss in Volume 1, Yondu teaching young Quill how to shoot, and we get The Chain by Fleetwood Mac starting to play, and Peter takes control and then starts to fight Ego, and it's brilliant. In literally 0 words, it conveys the beauty of love and friendship. And I think that's what this movie is about. It's about love. It's about accepting love for yourself and for other people. Every single character, that's what it's about. It's about loving yourself and loving other people. It's like the final scene with Gamora and Nebula, when Gamora hugs Nebula, and Nebula just doesn't know how to react. But then she puts her hand on Gamora's back. And just that one moment, Nebula accepts love for herself. Like, what? Who allowed James Gunn to do this? That's incredible. That is like just on another level.
The film sets it up at the beginning with Rocket and Quill just like trying to work together. But the idea of teamwork hasn't really established a lot in this film. But it is at the end of the film, like they fully work together. They know what they're doing. And the character arcs just work together so well. It's so damn good. I love everything about this film. I might be making this up, but I remember there was a lot of criticism for the Sovereign. They weren't an
Oh
important
yeah.
part of the story, but I like them because
Yeah, I
I thought,
agree.
one, it was a great way to build up to Ego, but also to show how excessive and evil they are. Because one, they use drones or something like that to kill them, and they see it as a video game, like literally.
Yeah, it's like an
they just-
arcade.
It's like an arcade. They see it as a video game. They see it as like, oh, human beings or other creatures, they don't matter to us or anything like that, and they think they're better than them. Like literally, this is the whole idea of the film that sets it up. Like Ego thinks being as a god is better than being better than everyone is immortal. But there's one thing there's about it, and you gotta use your heart. And using your heart is the solution for the film, for the characters, and I love it. It's just for Rocket, it's for Yondu, and it's for Peter. It just works together so well.
It's
Oh
it's
my
fantastic.
God.
And you bring up something that I hadn't even considered. It just goes to show how layered this movie is and how you can watch it however many times and there's always a different way to look at it. That all the villains have this superiority complex, whether it be Ego or Aisha or Taserface.
Wait,
And it's
his
all
name
about
is Ego. Yeah, his name's
yeah,
Ego.
exactly. It's all about like superiority, and they all have huge egos, and that's what it's all like about. And yeah, you're right. The Sovereign aren't as integrated into the plot as the other two villains, but every time they show up, they're always so much fun to watch. And we're gonna get some of Adam Warlock, obviously,
Oh
in
yeah.
Guardians 3, which I'm really excited for. But just like seeing them and the way that it all comes back to Rocket's mistakes and the things that he does for no good reason, and because he is petty and because he doesn't have that love for himself that we kind of touch upon in Guardians 1, his mistakes cause like the huge crash and it caused that chain reaction, which also causes Aisha to go to Yondu, and it's brilliant. And the way they show up at the end with Wham Bam Shangalang is is brilliant. Like, what the hell? Like, they're not even like a huge part of the narrative, but they're just great. Like, they're so cleverly integrated. They're not just there for no reason. They serve plot and thematic relevance, and I think that's even if they're not defeated, even if they're not there the whole time, I think that is more important. That brings me onto Ego. Let's talk about Ego. And
Ego.
I have an email here from a listener, alstimefilmpod@gmail.com. You can send us your thoughts. I will read it now. Hello there, Alstime Film Podcast. Just thought I'd share my thoughts on Volume 2. This was easily one of my most anticipated MCU films, and I thought it was great. It certainly lived up to the hype of its predecessor. The humor is in top form, from Groot bringing someone's thumb to save the day, to Yondu kicking ass as the MCU's Mary Poppins, and Drax's ever-so-sensitive nipples. The soundtrack is an absolute blast too. Awesome Mix Volume 2 gave us more classics from Mr. Blue Sky to the original track Guardians Inferno, which is still great in my mind. If I had one slight gripe with this film, it would be the reveal of the villain. Ego is the main bad, but it isn't revealed until right at the very end of the climax of the film. Sometimes when watching, it can feel like there's no urgency or stakes for our heroes. I can understand the effect, though, as it's meant to shock Quill and take him by surprise, and I guess that was the intention for the audience, too. I guess I was looking for a classic mustache-twirling villain in this one, but can understand the approach they made. Roll on Volume 3. Thanks for the pod, gentlemen. Sam.
Thank you for the email.
Thanks, Sam. Fantastic.
Thanks, Sam.
What are your take on that? What do you think about Ego? Do you agree with Sam about the lack of mustache twirlingness of him?
Okay, so let's define what a mustache twirly villain is. It's like, ha ha ha, now I'm going to take over the world. Ho ho ho. Like that?
Yeah, I think so. Like,
Okay,
somebody
okay.
who's very kind of like unapologetically evil the whole time.
Yes.
You're kind of Emperor Palpatine's who's just, this man is evil and he loves doing it.
Yeah, okay. He loves doing it. We don't know why, but yeah, there is an element of that when it comes to Ego, because he does want to take over the entire universe with this thing called the Enterprise. Yeah, with expansion.
Expansion.
Yeah, that was it. Not the Enterprise.
He's got the Enterprise from Star Trek. He's like, I have done it.
I've done
going
it
to rule the world.
I've got Spock with me with the Enterprise. No, with the expansion. There was this idea, but we don't really know why he's doing it, really. But there was this element of being a god, really. He thought of that of his entire lifespan. He was just trying to get planets, or he's trying to, plant them. And then there was a bit of emotional weight to it, but not a lot, with Quill's mother and with Ego. I mean, the opening did it really, like they showed their relationship, but I kind of wish there was more emotional impact with that. But then again, it is how evil he is. Like literally, it's so sad. Like he plants that tumor in her head, and that shot where Peter's like, "What?" Like that
Yes.
dolly
The dolly
zoom out.
zoom.
Yeah, and his reaction to that from Peter is like, I know, and man, yeah,
Yeah.
he is
I know that
kind of
sounds bad. It's like,
I know
yeah.
that sounds bad. Yes, please don't. No,
What was that accent?
I
Sorry.
don't know. I'm
That was
sorry.
incredible. It was your very greatest Kurt Russell, apparently.
I know. That sounds
I
kind
know
of
it
bad.
sounds bad, boy.
I know
That's
that
more like
sounds kind
Yondu,
of bad.
actually.
I'm just trying to sound like Kurt Russell. If Kurt Russell hears this, I'm sorry.
Something tells me that Kurt Russell isn't listening, John. Something in the back of my mind tells me that he's not listening right now.
Well, he might have his people and like, we got this person who sounds like you. Like, what? What? Sounds like me. And then
He's gonna
be
hunt
like,
you down.
He's gonna be like Escape from LA. He's gonna be like buff like that. He's gonna hunt me down. He's gonna be like, I'm gonna find you. But no, yeah, Kurt Russell. I thought it was great as Ego. Yeah, he was kind of a bit mustache twirly. But then again, in the first time watching it, I didn't really expect to have like a evil reveal type, because Gamora, this is kind of foreshadowed. Like Gamora said, if he turns evil, we'll kill him.
Yes, they're so ready for that. For me, it's all in the performance for him. You get this scene where he kind of like, he's showboating and he's like, here's my entire existence. Here are these presentations that I have prepared. And he kind of talks them through his whole like experience. And you see within him this loneliness. And later on, he kind of talks about how he wants to be everywhere and he will finally not be. There's a great bit where he yells, he's like, I will finally not be alone. And it's fantastic. I think that's all in it. I understand. I love a mustache twirling villain. I think Ronan in the first movie is that. I definitely think the villains in this one are a step up from last time. We criticized in our video on Volume 1 that the villains did leave a little bit to be desired. I think this movie, I don't feel that at all. And I think that sometimes it doesn't work when a villain is trying to be trusting and then switch to being evil. Like, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Sharon Carter is completely like trustworthy and normal, and then as soon as she becomes the power broker, she changes and she's different and she's very much like evil. To me, that doesn't track. To me, somebody can still be the same person but just go too far. And I think Ego is that. He's the same person, but he's just a bit mad. And at the end, he's just angry, but he's never like mustache twirly throughout. He comes off as reasonable because that's kind of how he's trying to present himself. I think that does work very, very well. Like when he talks to Peter about Brandy and the two of them talk about the song and what it represents and how, oh yeah, we're the sailor in the song, don't you realize? And you can see part of him does want that relationship. And what I love so much is that he actually loved Meredith Quill. There's that moment where he takes the Walkman out and he listens to Brandy, and you can see that part of him genuinely would have liked just to have a life with her. Again, it fits into the themes that accepting love from others will help you love yourself. And that is a core of what the movie's about. And just like all good movies, the villain is the antithesis of that and is, exactly why the themes of the movie work. So yeah, thanks for email, Sam. Fantastic. And
thank you for
everyone,
the email.
Yeah, final thing that I want to talk about, Rocket Raccoon himself. The whole ending with Yondu. Wow, just perfection.
Cinema.
Literally, I have no notes. What do you think about the whole ending?
The whole ending is just, it's like a guidebook on how to end a film. This is just amazing. Like the song Father and Son just sets that emotional spot with the Yondu saying, I forgot the quote. Yeah, I know you know the quote. Say it.
Maybe your father, boy, but he want your daddy. Brutal. And the fact that Quill doesn't really realize what Yondu's trying to say. And in those final moments, Yondu, he puts the spacesuit on Quill and he holds him. He holds his face in his hands as he freezes up. And the music and Chris Pratt's performance as he's screaming and he's yelling, he's going, no, Yondu, no. Like, S tier. S tier.
Yeah, it's S tier. I know what you're talking about. It's the goat. The goat.
The goat. Absolutely
Oh,
fantastic.
yeah.
And,
And
you know, then we get like Quill's monologue when he talks about, you know, sometimes the thing that you're looking for your whole life, sometimes it was right there next to you.
yeah.
And as you say, with father and son, and when all the Ravagers come to pay their respects to Yondu, a moment that really breaks me is Kraglin when he sees them and he goes, yeah! And he just like, he yells out because they've come and they are, you know, they're playing the horns at his funeral like Stakar said would never happen. It really hits you right in the feels.
Yeah. And that music with father and son just swelling up into the chorus.
Yes.
Ah.
Incredible. You know, like
And
you get the wrapping up of every single plot line with,
Yeah.
you know, Gamora talks about that unspoken thing between her and Peter, and we already got like Nebula and Gamora reconciling and Nebula leaving before that, and Rocket, just Rocket, man. Those final moments where Rocket just says he didn't chase
no.
them away, even though he was mean to them, and he stole batteries that he didn't need. And Quill looks at him in that moment and he understands. He understands.
That is just excellent storytelling.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for the third one, man. Can we just talk
Oh
about
my
quickly
God.
about the third one?
They are gonna destroy us.
They are going to destroy us. Like, we know how emotionally attached we are to these characters. And the soundtrack, James Gunn,
Yeah.
if you didn't know, released his Guardians of the Galaxy 3 playlist.
He did, yeah.
And there's one song he brought back, which is Come Get Your Love. And
Yeah, and it's a different version. It's a re-recorded
different
version.
It's a
Which is just
re-recorded.
like, oh, what are you gonna do, James? What are you gonna do?
Please don't put it in a commercial scene, James, please.
I think it might be the thing that plays during the credits. I think we might just have to sit
Oh,
there
damn.
with that song playing. Like that is just like the idea that James Gunn has said, and this is all about finishing the story of the Guardians, and it's not about the wider MCU. This is about him closing up the story that he has been telling. I can't wait. And I think that we are in for a devastatingly incredible treat.
Yep, I'm gonna bring tissues, and people are gonna be like, "You okay?" And we're like, "No." It's like that meme with two M&Ms talking to each other, and there's one red M&M on the floor, and then the yellow M&M's like, "You okay, bro?" And then the red M&M's like, "No." That's how I'm gonna feel after watching this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope nothing bad happens.
Oh, John, you sweet innocent boy.
No, please,
Something bad
please.
will happen.
Please, you
Oh,
cannot
yeah.
alter my reality or expectation, please. I just want to live a good life just knowing that they're gonna be
Whew.
okay.
We will see, and we will be
Let's
covering
wrap it
that.
up. Okay.
We'll be covering that in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 out of 10.
Now, I'm very complex of like how to rate it, but I'm gonna go with a 9.
Okay. I mean, 10. 10, baby. I think it's generally the only MCU movie that I have given a 10. And you know what? Yeah, fair enough. It's a 10 for me. I loved it so much. Thank you everybody for listening. If you're listening on YouTube and you enjoyed it, you can like and subscribe if you want to see more. And if you're listening on Spotify, you can follow us and give us a nice review. Next week, we are doing The Mandalorian Season 3, which is going to be fun to talk about. We'll see. And you can send us an email at outstimefilmpod@gmail.com. Just like Sam, you can let us know your thoughts on The Mandalorian Season 3 and ask us any questions, and we will answer it right here on the podcast next week. We're kind of changing how we do emails now, so we can do it, the email, in the same video. It's going to be great. And you can follow us on Instagram at OutstimeFilmPod to see our incredible thumbnails from Zain Afzal, and on Twitter for more thoughts from me. Thanks to Jones-Meyer for the excellent theme, and Ronan Phillips for vocals, as always, and I think that's everything.
Yeah, that is everything. Thank you for listening, and thank you for the theme, and thank you for the email that Sam just wrote. Yeah, take what you're given.
Give nothing back.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.